was very into studying films as well as music when I was younger, and I was particularly taken by that film noir era, 1940s, Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, that game. And during this, obviously they're trying to convey this emotion, but because it's in black and white, I guess we think of black and white now as being such an anachronistic, gosh, so much light, so much colour in the world. And back then, that was all they had, and so what they would do is they would use this lighting technique called chiaroscuro. Not a native Italian speaker, as you can tell, but it's this lovely way of using lighting to cast shadows or create images or different kind of shapes on people or backgrounds. They would often kind of put these lines across people's chests or faces. The grizzled detective who can't quite work it out, struggling a little bit like this, and he's going to be ensnared by that blonde femme fatale who's going to, catch him out. And sometimes it's almost like you see them sort of feeling like they're imprisoned or something like that. It's very clever, and it reminds me that it's that whole, even though we call it black and white, it's so much more than just the binary nature of that. It's lots of different shades. You have to be careful that it's not 50 Shades of Grey. There's lots of different shades in between all of those, and the contrast is incredible. And sometimes in music we talk about contrasts, and educationally we can often be a little bit binary as well, because we go, hey, music, loud and quiet, high and low, fast and slow, and all these kind of things. And of course, when we think about, as our teachers always told us to, think about your musical toolkit. What do you have in your box? There's so much more, there's so many more contrasts within all of that. So in this piece, I really hope that you hear lots and lots of all the different kinds of contrasts in music, and that it's way more nuanced than just that binary opposite. going well. Slaithwaite, no. Slaithwaite, I've heard. Slaithwaite is what I've been told most of the time. It's going well. I feel we're at kind of like, 65-70% of kind of like warmth. We're getting there. Which is difficult sometimes, to kind of just come in and be like, hey, hi. Quite a lot of the time, in certain environments, when someone like me comes up and says, hi, I'm going to play my music, you see there's often, particularly in that kind of that world where it's, it's instrumental music, can sometimes be a little bit of fear across people's faces. You see people sort of shuffling in their seats going, his own music, right. We know how that's going to sound. The benefit of me, at the end of this tour, I question whether I actually feel massively alive, but the benefit of me being very much just about alive rather than dead for 300 years, as some composers are, is that I can tell you some of the stuff about the music. Now, doesn't mean that we rid ourselves of the history and heritage, and certainly doesn't mean that I exalt myself to anybody's bootstraps, but I think it's good to hear about music and about why it is like it is, why it's made as it's made, and what it does and why it does that. I think it's special. And so I hope that you enjoy some of those explanations this evening, and it kind of helps you to approach the music a little bit more. Some of you will know it, some of you won't, and that's okay. But it's an invitation. It's an invitation. That's why we've set it up like this. That's why I'm talking to you like this. Why we're doing it in a way which is just trying to just not. We're not doing it in the car park. We're just trying to do it just ever so slightly differently. It just means that everyone, hopefully, regardless of whether you go to Red Deer Club or Am Piano or Kirklees in music or Golker or literally it doesn't matter. We're here to enjoy live music, and live music that's just what it is. Live music, regardless of genre, style, or whatever. That was a lot, wasn't it? Okay, music. As I said, it's great to be able to tell you more about some of the music, and I guess in some respects introduce you to some of the influences that I have as well. Why my music sounds like it does. I grew up doing classical music, and I loved doing that, playing a lot of Chopin and Debussy and Satie and Ravel and all of that kind of stuff. Loved that. Then I hit my teenage years, and I said to my teacher, "Do you know what? Have you heard of this thing called jazz?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Okay." Well, I went off and found out a little bit about jazz, and it's great. Oh my gosh, sweet. And that was fun. Then I went to union leads and got into all sorts of stuff, and I've done lots of different kinds. But this first piece I'm going to play in this next little section of pieces for you, going back to back, is a ballad. Chopin's ballads are quite slightly bombastic in a kind of way, in a good way, fantastic way. Mine is a little more restrained perhaps, but still hopefully you'll enjoy that first one, which is a ballad. After that, I'm going to play a suite of pieces which is called Three Impromptus. There's a compositional device which is called Theme and Variations. Sorry, I realise I've not even looked at you right here. Theme and Variations. And it's very common because you'll have heard it. A little melody, very nice. Change it, develop it, modulate to the dominant. And then we come back and we hear it again, and everyone goes, well, that was lovely. And that's cool, that's one way of doing theme and variations, but I've decided to do theme and variations a slightly different way by taking certain source material and manipulating it in a different way. And this was as a result of getting into music by people like Howard Skempton, Arvo Pärt, Morton Feldman, and John Cage. I decided not to do the piano version of 4 minutes 33 for you this evening. It's just not as good as the orchestral version. But these three impromptus are based around this idea of 4 notes in a chord every single time, usually two in each hand, And I always like to do this. The first chord is this. And there's always that little subtle shift. Everyone's like, doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right. It is right. Okay, and the idea is that you get these 4 notes literally next to each other, and they're butting up against each other. It's tense. Supposed to be tense. You're supposed to go. Now, as it goes through, we're going to get something like this. That's nice. A little bit further apart. A little bit further apart. Until we end up at something like. Okay. Deliberate. Okay, it's deliberate. And all of this is kind of like happening as tension. In the second impromptu, it starts like this with the same chord, but then can't quite stretch. It goes out, and it's like rhyming couplets. You get in, you get out, get in, out. It's constantly going back and forth. Tension, release, release. And by the third one, it's so released that all of the notes are broken up like this. Flowing and melodic almost. And so that's the idea with those impromptus. And I hope that with that little explanation that you approach it. There are people in here who know about music in a theoretical sense. That's great. And there are people in here who have less knowledge of music from a theoretical perspective, but love music and live music and experiencing it just the same. Everyone's equal in my eyes, and so what I'm trying to do is find a way to bring everyone together rather than this sort of tiered way of, well, I know about music, you know, because I don't think that serves a purpose. And so that's those impromptus, and then I'm going to finish up with in that suite with a bassouse. Bassouse means lullaby in French. Last year I had a baby. Well, my wife had a baby. Was and remain very supportive. He's a total joy, 19 months old, saying lots of things, begs to listen to Daddy's Doozic every night before going to bed, which is pretty, yeah, that's pretty good. The stream count's going up as well, you know. And at the moment, you know, we're in this process of trying to engage. It's like a bit like those UN negotiations that's been going on recently, you know, it's kind of sat opposite and you're like, have you heard of sleep? It's great for you, it's good for me. You know, let's engage in this a little bit. I've been writing a cycle of lullabies, go in a circle of fifths. It's inherently cyclical. Doesn't last 4 hours like Wagner's Ring Cycle, thank God. He was a racist anyway, but the idea is that he is asleep by about number 4. So you're going to get bassouse number 4. And of course, I called it a bassouse rather than a lullaby because it sounds more posh and classical. And you can have a vegan lead if you'd really prefer. so much for your attentive listening. You're doing very well. It's not meant to sound patronising, genuinely. When you've been doing this as long as I have, trust me, there's been Friday nights different to this. There's one thing that I was really wanting to say, but I can't remember what it was now. Never mind. After the last one, there was certainly an audible few whoops, right? And whoops are great, okay? Let me tell you why. Whoops make musicians feel on top of the world. There's nothing like it for an endorphins kind of rush. Now, I've been going around everywhere, the UK, Europe, telling everyone that Leeds is the whooping capital of the UK, because it is kind of really. Now, I am Leeds, full-hearted Leeds. And I once went over to Manchester and I played in Manchester and I didn't say anything. And I just played, and like just that first nocturne that I played earlier, and it was like, oh my God, Manchester, where did these come from? This whooping was nuts, it was crazy. I only say this really because I think like you're kind of pretty much equidistant between Leeds and Manchester, and I kind of think, you know, if you want to take it up a notch, I will proselytise Slaithwaite on at least a European level. Bring the world to Colne Valley, and that'll solve the problems, right? Now, I'm going to play some more pieces for you, and I know you didn't come for a music lecture, now, so I'm going to try and, you know, tame it a little bit. But this next piece, I'm going to play two pieces. The first piece I'm going to play is called Peeing, and really love playing this piece, and I'm trying to get better at saying that because, you know, I might be 38, a bit long in the tooth now, but, you know, we're all terrible. Musicians are terrible at saying they like what they do, even though we kind of still drag ourselves off to the torture of doing it. So I like playing this piece of mine that I wrote. I'll put that in my diary later. And this piece is quite stately, it moves, it's very homogeneous, it moves all over the place. And the point of this piece is that it's designed to be a celebration and, a celebration of limitation. So in composition, so when I was younger, I thought that the key to success and the way in which I would prove my worth to myself and to everyone else and show everyone that I was all that was to play lots of notes. Look at them all. So many notes. There's so many of them. They gleam at me and they're like, play me. You'll enjoy it. And no one else really did. And it's a kind of classic thing, isn't it? Now, it's not a repudiation of anyone who plays lots of notes or music with lots of notes. That's all fine. But let me tell you something, Sly. I found myself, and I found the right thing for me. And sometimes that's good, and that feels good. And so, limitation, you know, is not always a bad thing. It's not really supposed to be a negative word. Sometimes it can be good. If you play football or cricket or rugby without edges to a pitch, it's chaos. It's like primary school in the school field again. Terrible. You have to sometimes put parameters around it. It doesn't mean that we can't all run wild and free on a Saturday night if we really want to in Huddersfield, but it's okay. Okay, and limitation is good. And so, in my right hand, I'm going to be playing an octave. Now, I know there's some of you that know, yeah, we know what an octave is, mate. All right, go back to Liz, take that with you, all right? I'm going to be playing a C sharp here and a C sharp here, or it could be a D flat if you prefer. I'm going to be playing like this, and in the left hand I'm also going to be playing in an octave like this. And it's going to be together like this. One follows the other constantly. One is informed by the other. Sometimes in piano music, it can get a little bit repetitive because you're like, right hand, play me a melody, left hand, play some arpeggiated chords, and hey presto, we've got a hit in a non-sort of pop music mainstream way. And that's great, that's really cool, but I think that melody and harmony, if you think about these two things, they actually are interchangeable. One informs the other rather than just going, oh, just also put some chords with this tune. So that's what happens in this piece, and I hope that as you hear these different melodies go right across the scope of the piano, you'll kind of come with me a little bit, come on that journey. You can also come with me on this journey up to the top of Saddle with More, because this is where I recorded a music video for this piece. A few years ago, in November 2022, I persuaded some friends of mine to put an upright piano in the back of a van, and we took it up to the top of Saddle with More on that road. You come off at junction 22 on the road that goes down to Delft and Diggle, and we put it up there. It was November, it was cold, it was wet, it was raining, it was terrible. They're not my friends anymore, but we did get a good music video out of it, and in 2022 and 5, that's all that counts, folks, okay? Because when you see that little advert on Facebook and Instagram and you go, oh, that looks like a nice piano evening, I'll go to that. Still waiting for the invoice from United Utilities because they did send a van to turn up and say, what are you doing? Recording a music video, was it a little while? Always ask for forgiveness rather than permission. That's on YouTube, you can check that out. The heather was beautiful and orange as the Zapato sign at the back. And the sky, well, it was above Manchester, so it was grey and gloomy, obviously. It's very striking, so you can check that out. And after that, we're going to play a piece called Crave. And Crave is a piece which is a tribute to people that we've known, that we've loved, and we've lost. We might not have lost them yet, but they're not kind of quite here with us, if you get what I mean. followed the narrative curve perfectly. Well done. I'm having an extremely good time playing the piano for you, and thank you very much for listening. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having a good time. That's really what it's all about. And you know, I'm super grateful for what really genuinely has been a team effort. Music is such a weird thing in terms of the industry and all the stuff around it. So much of it's rubbish, so much is total nonsense. And like Duncan said right at the beginning, a lot of what I've been trying to do with my touring of late, it's nice to play in Leeds and it's nice to play Manchester, it's nice to play Glasgow, London's great, Bristol is a really cool place, it's great. The big cities, and they just suck up all of the energy. And I grew up in a small, sort of medium-sized town in the middle of the Midlands where you just went to other places. Nothing came to here, and that's why for me it's been really important to come to here, not just saying that this isn't somewhere. It is in between places, isn't it? And just that kind of thing of going, it's all right, just get on the train. It's a bloody nightmare getting to Leeds, isn't it? Because you've got to change at Huddersfield, it takes an hour. An hour! Woo! Crazy. What the hell? And I just think it's just rubbish. And, you know, I will go anywhere where there's a piano and chili. Thanks to the food, Duncan, that was beautiful before. I mean, it's simple, but it's a good time, isn't it? And you want to have a good time working with good people, and that's what tonight has been. This venue is amazing. We're at the heart of the local community. It's been there for years and years, doing all sorts. Fantastic, amazing, love the Civic. Zapato, awesome, local independent brewery, doing amazing stuff. Made in this place, in this valley by guys who live here, like not exporting it over to Heineken or whatever, taking over Tetney and, you know, screwing up the south bank of Leeds. And Red Deer Club and piano. Duncan, Chris, thank you. There's kind of this weird thing in the music industry where, because there's literally no money, and it's a problem, and things are falling on their knees every week. The problem is people are being tempted to sort of go, well, artists, you know, will be here, the venue's here, promoters here, and all of everyone's interest. Music's never worked like that. It's always been about when we do it together. It's always been a community thing. It's always been something that we do together. And that's why, you know, that's why I love doing this kind of stuff. That's why I love working with these guys. Because they do it because they love it, but also because they love you and they love this place, and that's what it's all for. So there's your nice sort of like make yourself feel warm and good about yourself on a Friday night kind of message. Now I'm going to play a bit more piano, and if you thought that it was going to kind of go on an upward curve towards a happy ending, not that kind, I have got bad news for you, because now we are getting to the part of the evening which is what I like to think of as plumbing the depths of despair, because it's music for the current times that we live in. So here we go. This first piece is called Inside Out. I say I know where it's going, there's a part of me which kind of doesn't, but it's okay. It's kind of like when you go into one of those mazes at a posh National Trust place, you go left, you go right, it's terrible, you go down the middle, it's even worse down the centre ground, isn't it? And gosh, I just don't know what's going on. So that's that one. And then I'm going to play a piece called Saturnine. Saturnine is such a lovely old English word. It means dark, gloomy and stormy, and if there's a word which sums me up, it's probably that. It's my angry song, and there's a lot to be angry about. And if you sat on the front row close to this piano, I can't be held responsible for your hearing loss. Speak to the musicians union. Thank you. you know. Some of you got a long train to catch, and I've got to get out of here. But just a few thank yous as well. Obviously, thank you to everybody who's been part of this evening. It's been absolutely magical. Can you give a big round of applause to our fantastic first performer, Natalie Wine? Thank you very much for coming. Natalie, it was absolutely fantastic to hear you sing, hear your songs, absolutely beautiful. Do look out for her and buy her stuff as well. Now, Christmas is coming, guys, and you know, you could give money to Amazon, right? Or you could invest in my son's future, and you know, nothing says Merry Christmas like, hey, I went to this like sad piano gig the other day, and you know, Merry Christmas. Here's a CD, here's a record. It works a treat, you know. Someone literally did that yesterday. You know, someone bought one yesterday. I'll give it to them for Christmas. So it works. As Chris said, I've got sheet music. If you want to inflict this sadness on your household, then come and be my guest. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. I've got literally about 5 of these left. These are my were my trump card, not here, but beer mats. I know a lot about where to print beer mats in the UK, which is surprising for a musician. All right, but I used to have loads of them, but I've just given so many out on tour that I don't have many left, but they're free as well. So come and grab stuff. Sign up to my newsletter. It's really good to stay in touch, and it's the best way of doing it. Now, so big thank you. I've probably forgotten a few things, but a big thank you to you as well for coming. It's been a real pleasure to share this evening with you. Thank you for coming into my deep and introspective and introverted world and sharing the melodies. Now, I know that in some musical traditions, what happens now is I walk off stage, I stand behind the door, and well, 60-65% applause. It's just about enough for an encore. Now take that out of your hands. Here's your encore. Thank you for asking. It's just much easier this way, all right? I promise you. I just don't believe in encores. I just think it's just faffy and rubbish and from another age. And it just doesn't work. It's just not needed, you know? It's just not needed. You've had a great time. Have some more. Now, this last piece that I'm going to play for you is short. It's really simple. It's my oldest piece. And it's deliberately simple. Now, I said earlier, you know, and I just in that piece just waffled up and down the piano, just in an effort to kind of present a narrative arc that goes up and down and then finishes on this. Woo! Wow! Look at this. Now, the problem with all of that is it's a lot of faffing around, and when it comes down to it, sometimes the simplest things say the most profound things, and that's what I've come to realise is that. And that's why I feel all the time I'm constantly on edge because I'm playing music which is inherently spacious, and it feels awkward to me sometimes, and it probably does to you because it's like, are you just going to play any notes or are you just going to leave any more space between them? And it's great to hear that gap and to hear them. And so in this piece, I'm not trying to do anything clever. There is nothing clever in this in some respects. It's just what it is. This piece uses a pentatonic scale, and you've all heard it. It sounds like this. It's used in so many different musical cultures from across the world in different kind of ways. People all the time, they're like, "Auld Lang Syne." Oh, yeah. When I was up in Scotland, they were like, "Mull of Kintyre, da, 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 let's all have a sing," you know? We're not going to. But it's a very, very common thing, and I take a lot of kind of sucker from that, because actually what we're just doing here is we're doing Duzik in, Slaithwaite on a Friday night, having a good time around the piano. That's all it is, but it's more than all it is. It's something really, really special. And for me, being able to bring it back to this, is it reminds me that that's what people have been doing in this building forever, and whether it was classical or whether it was folk or whether it was whatever, it doesn't actually really matter. It's probably a brass band or a choir. Great, awesome. I love that stuff. But we're just here to have a good time, and that's what it's all about. This piece is called Compline, and I am not talking about this from the perspective of a person who is religious. So apologies to anyone who is, or to anyone who thinks that I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm not. But Compline is a thing that happens within parts of the Christian tradition, which happens at the end of the day. It's, in the morning, some monks say Matin, it happens in the morning. Compline is the last thing, it's the last prayer, last thing of the day. It's not just like the end or bedtime, but it comes from the Latin for completorium, which means to finish well. Things just were rounded off really nicely. I think it's a nice idea, and so I borrowed it. It's all right, they'll forgive me. And it's just really, really simple, and it's just the notes, and it's the space, and it's the resonance of the instrument in there. And for me, that's all it needs to be. It comes down to that. I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll find some reflection in it. It kind of also reminds me of when I was a kid and I got kind of encouraged, and I went very willingly to Sunday school, and they used to teach us this thing called the teaspoon prayer, which was TSP, easy to remember, which stood for thank you, sorry, please. And I've not forgotten it, so I guess it was good. And I like the idea of that, it's simple, and simple's good. If we do a bit more thank you, a bit more sorry, and a bit more please, I reckon we'll be on to a winner. So I'm going to do that a little bit more if I can. I'm also playing at Barnsley on Sunday, so if you fancy a nice Sunday out in Barnsley at the Civic, you're welcome to come over there on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. But it does also remind me to say thank you very much for listening. Sorry for being a bit sad and morose, don't worry about me, I'm fine. And please do come and say hi to me afterwards, I'd love to speak to you. Thank you very much. I've been Simeon Walker, and you've been a very lovely audience. This is Compline. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Simeon Walker, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. Special thanks to the Civic for letting us use this beautiful space. This Plateau Brewery, thank you very much for supplying the beers. Thanks to the Doros helping us on the door, and Ben on sound, Chris on piano, everybody else here.